Welcome back. I'm Suresh Machu from Machu Tattoos. So today the topic is stick poke tattoos. So in this video we are going to talk about what is stick poke tattoos and what are all the facts involved in it and how the process works on. Stick poke tattoo is nothing but it's the old ancient days our traditional people they do tattoos, right, with the sticks. In Tamil they called Pachakutradhu, Telugu, Kannada they called Achapottu. So the same thing which we are going to talk about now. Let's get into the topic. Stick poke tattoos got a lot of revolution now. Many of the professional tattoo artists doing this stick poke tattoos as professionally. Mostly stick poke tattoos chosen by the people who can't afford the much amount for the normal tattooing method. Yes, less expensive. Stick poke tattoos are much more less expensive comparing to the normal tattooing method because they are going to use the needle sticks and they are going to poke into your skin and create a tattoo. Look at it, stick poke tattoos are less expensive comparing to the normal tattooing method because in a normal tattooing method all the things which you are going to be used is completely automatic as well as completely new. So its cost of material charges will be high comparing to the stick poke tattoos. Stick poke tattoos are manually made sticks as well as the poking needles. So it's completely inexpensive. So people who can't afford much amount for this tattoos, they go ahead in this. But at the same way, there are a lot of back efforts will be there in this stick poke tattoos. I'll explain you about this in this video full, what are all the things we need to be taken care and what are all the things need to be precaution. And the one more thing on the another side, some of the professional artists doing the stick poke tattoos in the same cost of normal tattoos because they use completely hygiene standard at the time when they do the stick poke tattoos. When I was there in the Thailand tattoo festival, I have seen a lot of artists using the stick poke methods doing a huge body suits. It was completely insane. It was really awesome. So you need to choose the artist here also again which stick poke artist you are going to choose it. Most of the time stick poke tattoos come with the minimalist designs because it's going to be the single needle. As we have automatic methods, we have the lot of different needles like 9RL, 13RL, 14RS, so different sizes will be there, but in that it's going to be the single needle, so doing a bodysuits will take more time. So mostly it will be the minimalist design. That's one of the disadvantages when it comes to the stick poke tattoos. And then the another important thing is they'll be made up with the sheaving needle, swing needle, as well as they'll be use flame for sterilization. Yes, it's a little sounds a little horror, right? But that's the true thing. And they'll be use the pencil to extend the length of the needle because it's going to be very small. When they flame it, it's going to be hurt their hand. So they'll be make a pencil stick and they'll be put the eraser and they'll be stick it, they'll be tie it up. You can see those kind of videos in YouTube also. You just put it as stick poke tattoos homemade. You can get a lot of videos in the same way. But this is not the proper method of doing it. Actually, the people who do stick poke tattoos professionally, they do it in a completely different way. They keep change the needles for all the artists. They won't do with this sterilization flame and also. In that, it's a completely different and this method also completely different. So you need to choose it perfectly before going to the stick poke tattoos. Next, the stenciling process. Usually nowadays artists, they'll be take a stencil from the digital art, they'll be keep on the body and they'll do the tattoo to make the more perfection on the art. At the same time, in the stick poke tattoo artists also, many of them do the same way, but some of the people they just draw on their own hand and they'll be started doing it. It depends on their skills, so you need to choose it accordingly. And the stick poke artist needs to be expertise on their job because it's going to be manually, they are controlling the depth which is going inside your skin. So they are manually controlling it, so they need to understand how much depth they are going inside. If they go more depth into the skin, as we explained earlier, if it goes more than the second layer of the skin, that will cause the severe damage and the huge swelling on your body. So we highly recommend choose the expertise if you plan to get the stick poke tattoos. And then the most important thing everybody do ask is pain. Is this painful so much? Yes, stick poke tattoos are painful. Whatever body modifications if you go ahead, that will be obviously painful, but the stick poke tattoos are little more pain comparing to the nowadays modern technique tattooing methods. Why? Because it goes more depth as I explained to you earlier, and it's going to be completely manual and it's a single stick. It's going to keep poking on the skin, so we need to do lot more poking at the same place to bring the impression of the tattoo on the skin. So artist needs to understand whether that penetration got settled the ink in the epidermis layer or not. If it's not get settled down in the epidermis layer, it will not going to be visible outside, and after a few days it will start to look very blur. So pain wise, yes, it will be painful comparing to the normal method. So as you all know, this is my wrist tattoo. I just got a 2 dots. I did not go more ahead than any other designs because it's painful so much. It's pained a lot. So I just did this 2 dots and I just stopped doing it because the stick poke tattoos will be painful. Now let's talk about the problems and disadvantages of the stick poke tattoos. So most of the time, and the highly percentage wise, stick poke tattoos are made in the home and it's handled by the unprofessional artist. So you need to be very careful. If you are go ahead with the amateurs and the backyard operators, that can risk your whole health. So you need to be understand that very carefully. And the another important thing is allergy. So if the artist going to use the needle without any proper sterilization and without using a new needle, obviously allergies can happen. And the inks which they are using, if they are using a quality protecting, that's completely fine. But if they are using a manual method of inks, then sterilization plays the key important role, and we can't certify that it's going to be suitable for all the skin types. So there is a lot of chance of infection allergies may happen in the skin. And huge problem risks wise, there is the chance of HIV, hepatitis B may happen if you go ahead with the stick poke tattoos. But I'm not telling all the stick poke tattoos may happen, but if the art is not using a new needle and sterilization with the flame and all, it won't work properly. So correct, right? So they need to keep changing the needles and the stick all the time. They need to take a complete new equipment. If they didn't do it, obviously that will cause the huge impact in the body. HIV is nothing but it will be affect our T cells, right? You all know. And the hepatitis B will affect our liver and it will be cause the severe infection in our future. So people go ahead for the stick poke tattoos. I highly recommend you to choose a best tattoo artist. And if you are a person going ahead, I want to get the tattoo as a traditional method of wise, then stick poke tattoos are fine. Or else I highly recommend you to go ahead for the modern technique tattoos. You are going to spend extra some amount of money. Okay, but for that, don't risk your skin, which is going to be there in your lifelong by the stick poke tattoos. Unless you are not personally motivated to get a stick poke tattoos, don't get it. Come for the modern and technical advanced tattooing methods that can be very less painful and it'll be so smooth, and you can get the more perfection also comparing to the stick poke tattoos. So get your perfect tattoo with the perfect tattoo artist and the perfect tattoo studio. Don't die nude.